and forth.
Yeah. So like right now, if it's just usually when I'm talking, because I don't have that other camera to get like a focus of me, but the focus is the guest, like I want to make sure my guest is known. So it's like I just have the guest focus. So whenever it's you just talking, it'll focus on you and show that.
Next time, bro, I'll bring my camera. If you don't ever have it, if you don't get the third camera, you can use mine too. That's like the setup on the side too.
Oh, that's good. See,
think of that.
No, good looks, man. See, I appreciate that, and that's something like I want to start doing too. Is just like helping others, like with my gear. Like, hey, what do you want to do? Like, do you want some audio shit? Like, I have a
this is so nice
setup.
What is that called? Is that an equalizer?
It's a Rodecaster. It's a actually. It's just a soundboard, and not a soundboard, but it's like a soundboard / like audio. Like, honestly, I don't know the specific like characteristics of it, but it's just a mobile recording studio. Really,
that's so.
What I mean. I even have.
Yeah.
Thank you, everybody that's hiding behind those cameras right here.
The live studio audience.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I always have a live studio audience. I always have at least minimum 10 people. Like, come on, that definitely sounds like 10 people, right?
Plus Gigi and Jax.
Oh, yes. Shout out to that. Jax came on the last episode. Really? She just, like, jumped up. I was like, all right, cool. Just want to just introduce yourself. That's fine. Like, all right. Like, she has found her flow. She's, like, came in, like, what's good? I like cats, though. Cats are chill.
It's cool to be a cat.
Wait, do you have cats?
No, I just got a dog, actually. That was going to be part of what I talked about, yeah.
Oh, really? Wait, what kind of
dog? He's a Portuguese Podengo mixed with something we don't know, but we just got him almost 3 weeks ago.
A Portuguese Podengo?
Yeah.
Podengo?
Podengo. Yeah, Podengo. Podengo.
Podengo.
Yeah.
That sounds like it should be a fucking Disney movie. They just name and shit like Podengo.
Yeah.
Like follow the adventures of Portuguese Podengo.
I'd watch it.
All right. Wait, so what's a Portuguese Podengo? Why does that sound mad familiar though? I gotta look this up.
Yeah, I was reading into them a little bit. They were bred to be hunting dogs, and they would snuff out like field mice. That was their job when they would go out. They would get mice. And then I think they came from the Phoenicians like way long ago. So I want to say it was 600 BC. I'm not 100% sure, but they traced their lineage back to the Phoenicians. So I guess they're African, and they were immigrated somehow to Portugal, and they were just bred to be Portuguese hunting dogs. Yeah.
Oh, that's pretty.
So they're wicked high energy. He kind of looks like.
Actually, scroll through. Yeah, scroll through. Oh, you have a photo. It's not like he's like, you have a dog. Like you have him. Like like, why am I looking at Google Photos? Like what the fuck is?
He's a mix, so we don't know.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you're gonna get like ancestry.com for him. Like get an account for him.
You could do it.
Yeah. Wait, do they do that for dogs? Really?
Yeah.
They really do it for animals.
So breeders will be like very specific on what is the breeds of their dog, so they want to know exactly what's in their dog. So when they breed it with another dog, they'll know. You can tell if it's purebred or not.
Wait, so like Ancestry like provides that service for dogs?
Like, I don't know if it's Ancestry, but a company does do it.
You swap your
dog and like they'll get the breed samples of it. Yeah.
I thought it was Ancestry. I was like, damn, they really expanded. They got crazy. Dogs, cats, fucking koi fish. If you're really into that shit.
So my favorite hobby with him is to take 0.5 ultra wide pictures right in his face.
Yo, that's. Yo, that snot is so big. Yo, he looks goofy as fuck, too.
Yeah, I give him. He really is goofy.
Wait, is he a puppy or?
Yeah, he's they think he's a year old. They recovered him as a stray, so they don't know exactly how old he is, but they could tell by his teeth that he's around a year old.
Yo, bless.
Yeah, he's a good boy. So yesterday on the ride home,
did it take him time to adjust? Oh, look at
a little bit. Yeah,
the house and stuff. Like, was he aggressive or anything or no?
A little bit at first, but actually, we found out that like taking cans of like compressed air and spraying them and telling them no, that straightened him out like crazy.
Wait, really? Compressed air to the face or like to the nose?
You ribs.
To the ribs.
Yeah, you don't do it in their face because it will be like too much for them. But to the ribs. That's we
really
went to a trainer and that's what he said. And the second he did it, he stopped all his bad behavior. And now every time he ever does something, most of the time we could tell him no. And if he really, really doesn't do it, we'll spray. And then he really stops whatever he's doing.
Yeah. What's the PSI on that?
I don't know. It's like to fill a bike tire. If you've ever seen those like handheld ones where it's like a squirt and you put the canister in.
So what is that like a?
I'm not sure actually.
I'm just trying to think of the pressure it emits out to be able because I'm like
it doesn't hurt him. It just scares him a little bit.
Yeah, it's just like a weird feeling in between the ribs, probably the sensation.
We do it from far away. Like it literally is just like the sound is.
No, it's just yeah. That's what I'm thinking. I'm like, it's just interesting though. You know what I mean? Just like a gust of air. You know what I mean? I didn't expect it to hurt him, but it's just like it's just you know what I mean. You don't think about that shit. Like some guy really sat there. He's like smoking a bone. And he's like,
yeah. That's him without a giant ultra wide lens in his face.
Yo, he looks just like. I'm sick of this shit.
Nah, he loves it. He's a good boy.
Does he travel with you when you do
Yeah.
your photography and everything?
Pretty much everywhere I've gone, he's gone till like now, and like except for the hot pot we just came from. Like, he was freaking out because he hasn't gotten used to leaving us, and he's in the cage and we go out because we've been taking him everywhere. He does wicked good in the car, so he was whining. But when you get home, he's so excited to see you.
Oh yeah, but he just has like a separation anxiety or whatever.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, it's get used
Working
to it,
on
right?
it.
Yeah, he's only not even a year old, you know. So
He's been
or
with
maybe
us 2 weeks, yeah. So this is like the first time we've left him. So,
oh, okay, that's awesome though.
I've been home all week from work.
Oh yeah. Oh, and I was gonna say too with work, but I was gonna say, damn, set my mind. Yo, my mind really just went because I was about to say something about the dog. I was gonna be like, okay, so like when it comes to like, are you planning on taking him even like outside the country? Because you've done your photography outside the country.
That would be cool. Not unless we had no other option. I think because if he's like my family's dog, so it's me, my mom, my dad, and my brother. We're all watching him. If all of us were outside of the country, potentially, but sometimes like he can also be boarded, and somebody like could take care of him too because he's wicked friendly and he's able to be like taken care of by anybody. So if like we left him at the house or left him at somebody else's house, we could do that, but. I think he would travel fine because yesterday we went to Cranston, and I don't know if you've been to Providence since you've been here, but like, dude, the traffic's crazy because they shut down a bridge, so half the bridge is closed. So it used to be 4 lanes one way, 4 lanes another way. Now it's 4 lanes, 2 go one way, 2 go the other. So they cut it in half, and the traffic has been insane. It took an hour and a half to get to Cranston yesterday. It's normally like 40 minutes max.
Damn, how long is it? Damn, that much?
Yeah. So
why is severe like there's severe damage or that happened?
Yeah, the bridge is pretty shit. And I'm just
they're just finally catching up like after all this time.
Yeah, and it was just a mess getting there. But he did fine in the car with all that traffic. He was in the car for like 3 hours yesterday, and he did fine. So
really,
I think he could travel.
Hey, dude, I guess we can't complain, you know, especially with the past fucking years of lockdowns and all, you know, I mean, people, dude, that's crazy. Just think about that, man. You know, I was thinking about that a couple of days ago. I'm like, wow, there really was a time in like Massachusetts where I needed like a paper saying like, if I got pulled over, like, why are you out? Like driving, like, do you, either essential work or you had to get groceries or something like that. Dude, I'm like, what the fuck? Like,
were you an essential worker during that time?
I was working for, I guess, essential. I was a painter. Like external and internal, yeah. But they're like the thing was, you know, we didn't do a lot of internal work because COVID,
right? So
we were very limited on work. So it's weather dependent, and there were some days like literally almost a week, like a week or so, like no work just because rain or whatever. It's like, oh, son of a bitch, like But dude, it's just crazy, like even that, since the essential and non-essential, like I can't even imagine the mental impact.
Everything was essential.
Yeah, right. Well, there's probably some jobs that we didn't fucking need. You know what I mean? But
so I was, for example, I was at Home Depot during that time.
Yeah,
and it was off the wall crazy because everybody was home looking for stuff to do. That they were like, oh, my stimulus checks, I have all this money to redo the house I've been putting off. Now I'm going to spend the foreseeable future in my house. They started doing home projects, and where'd they go? Home Depot.
My man dealt with the wave.
Bro, the wave. So that literally is what made me want to leave the system, honestly, was because I just felt that was the moment where I knew I was the cog in the machine at Home Depot, because it was just like, all right, like, we're here. This is essential. You're going to, like, it was basically like, they would never say this, but it was profits over everything. And it was like, if you got sick, and then you come back, and it's like the steam engine rolls on with or without you. And it was either quit or work through it. I worked through it, and I just looked for something better, and that's when I got into teaching.
Wow.
It was a lot because of COVID, yeah.
Yeah. What were the mental battles you were going through at that time? When you had that thought of like, damn, I'm really just like a cog in this giant machine, just making someone else rich, not even getting myself just by, all this stuff, like
just like the lack of like time, like empathy. It was like, oh, we know you're scared, but that was basically it. It was just like lack of empathy. I felt like just stuff kept coming in, stuff kept getting needed to put out on the shelves, and product kept needing to get moved. You know what I mean? Like, it was just lines out the door, unorganized like curbside systems that we were just like figuring out on the fly. And I know Home Depot's not the only business that was like this, but I just felt like while executives are home or in their home offices, or they're out like in a room getting recorded by nobody because like they were just like separated from everybody else. It's like people like us are in the stores that are packed and lines are out the door and safety protocols aren't being upheld and all those sort of things. Like I felt like I was in like a pond of thousands of fish in Home Depot all the time. And then like people who don't have to be on the front lines could still do their jobs from far away in safety. So it made me feel like I was just less cared about. And I started to think more like, what is this for? Like me unloading pallets of air conditioners, like who's benefiting after this? And it made me want to teach. And I was like, I know I've worked with kids benefit. I care about them. They want to learn for the most part, and just made me want to do something that I felt like mattered at the end of the day. Wow. So yeah.
Yeah. Cause it's, so, yeah, we need money to, do, to join societal things in life, entertainment, house, food, but in the end of the day, you can't take money with you. It's like, what's your purpose in this life? And I think that was just like you explained, man, it's just that revelation that a lot of people went through these past 3 years with COVID and still continue to figure out is just themselves.
And if
what's the purpose? Yeah, go ahead. No,
I was gonna say, and if you ask people what their favorite things are, or what things make them happy, a lot of the times it's not a material thing. And that just goes to show you like money really can't buy the things that tick my boxes at least, or make me tick, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Really, it's about like making a difference, helping, reaching like the boundary of who you can be as a person. And money's not really going to get those things. It might help you on a path. It might take care of your bare essentials, but what really makes you happy, or makes me happy at least, is just like things money can't buy. Mm-hmm. And that matters more to me.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I think it's a majority of people is that same way, but it sucks that, and even myself, I've been ignorant of it as well, as we take for granted those things we find that are free. Mm-hmm. Our very lives, this very moment that, God blessed us to, even sit across this table today and conversate, like to even if drove here safely, like to be able, even just the generations of your lineage to be able for you to come here is a blessing. Like
all the things that had to go right for me to be alive.
Literally, bro. Like it's fucking like that's the shit I think about, bro. I'm like, dude, I have no reason to fucking like bitch. Like, there's everyone has like a shitty time. Like, there are shitty days, and I'm not gonna lie about that. But it's like, dude, like when you really sit down and reflect, you're like, damn, like I'm alive. I have at least a house over my head, some food. Like I know things are struggling, things are more expensive and all that stuff. But like if you're able to at least get by and like figure out a plan for the long haul to get through this rough time and learn from it and become better for the next time stuff like this happens. Because COVID, like no one fucking expected this, bro. Dude, when it was 2019, bro, and I moved back from California, dude, I was thinking like, I'm gonna get a job, blah blah blah, all this shit, and then the world shut down.
Yeah. So the things that, like, one thing I've really learned this year, and from reading other things that I've learned, one thing I've learned this year from doing the research and stuff that I've done is about black swans. I'm working on this book called Black Swan, and it's about how when we look back at history, we notice like the really outlier things, like the World War IIs, the like big events like that, the 9/11s, like that you don't see coming is what we look back on, and that shapes us going forward. But none of those people saw those things coming either. And when we like try to take history into account when we make our decisions, that's the point of history, right? Is like to take what we've learned so we don't repeat those same mistakes and we can be better. Everything we look back to is things that we didn't see coming. Mm-hmm. So how can we prepare for things we didn't see coming? Taking that, because the next thing that's going to happen, like a COVID, nobody saw that coming. Mm-hmm. And that's what really shapes us going forward. So I just think it's kind of funny when we look at the history for guidance, and nothing that happened historically of note is like something you could have prepared for, really.
Mm-hmm. It's like what is it? Another thing I hear that's a great quote is history doesn't repeat, it rhymes. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? It doesn't happen exactly like it was, but you can at least use like that general old knowledge to be like, all right, compare it to now. But like, it looks like it's tracking to what it was, but looking at the information like like the stock market, for example. Yeah. SOP goes down like 800 points or something. Like, seeing this compared to 2008, like it looks like another 2008 is going to happen. Like seeing the information, but but it's still the unknown,
Exactly, and things are different from what they were back then. So you can't expect the chips to fall the same way when things and people are different from 2008. That our experiences since then have shaped us to do different things.
Mm-hmm. Just even looking now, though, just like you think with technology and the way we communicate with the whole world at an instant, you know, and we still are more disconnected than ever.
Yeah, it's paradoxical, kind of like how technology can have us talk to somebody across the world, but it keeps us far away from the people inside our own house.
Yo,
kind of crazy though if you think about it.
That's so like, even inside your house though, because that is true. A lot of people I feel like are afraid to talk about certain things because like if you can't get through with it, like someone said it, like it was a great quote. I forgot who it was, but if you can't get through it through family, you can't get your points like out to other people because the hardest thing is to have that confrontation, not confrontation, but kind just that I guess a confrontation. I don't want to word it that way, just because I think the reason why people like even myself, like I find myself like someone told me like, hey, like because I'm learning to be a sales, getting into sales and stuff like that. He said a good thing is don't be comfortable with asking uncomfortable questions. Yeah. The result will not like, cause we as humans, we overthink things. We think that like over exaggerate things. Oh, if this happens, it's going to be a bad argument. We're going to fight, blah, blah, blah. But like, I've opened up so much more, like even my dad, like just being like straight up, just like honest, like, like, hey, like I've been, interested about like why did you do this, blah, blah, blah. Or, like, I don't know. And it like relieves you because, because it's a lot less intense or even expected as you thought in your head. Yeah. So like, as soon as
it's easy to drum up scenarios in your head until they actually happen. You don't know what's going to come from them. Yes. And and I was going to say, I think that it's tough to talk to family because at the end of the day, a lot of them are your biggest critics. And they do it because they love you, but they also know you better than most people too. So it's like they're going to give you the full-fledged opinion based on how well they know you, and it might be tough to hear like negativity come from someone really close to you, but a lot of the times it is because they care. So and that might make an extra layer of like why it's hard to like talk to family about some stuff.
True. But I think people like I just hope that that they a lot of people break that step at least to just be more themselves and not be afraid to just ask especially your parents too. They're literally they're literally represent like older versions of you. Like ask them as much like question like, hey, like what, like I don't know. I feel like I took it for granted growing up, like my connection with my father, and then I've definitely have been strengthening that connection in the past like 3-4 years, like just opening up to him more and just being like who I am, instead of hiding and trying to, also be a pleaser too, because you're your own individual human as well. You have your dreams, your ambitions of what you want to do. They want the best for you, so they're going to tell you what they think's best. Like, oh, find this. Even with this podcast, like he loves it, he supports it, but it's like, he still wants me, get that. Work for a company, for 40 years of your life, 9 to 5, like get that
the nail on the head right now.
Yeah, I think that's a majority of fucking people, and I understand, them growing up, like they did good. It was like that was the way, but now it's with technology and stuff. We have so much more opportunities to do what we love. And speaking of technology, I love your vlog too. By the way, like tell me like about it. Like what got you interested to make FindAway photography, right? Yeah. Find a way, not find a way. I thought it was a way.
A little pun in there. I tried. Like you're finding a way, but you're also finding a way, like somewhere else that's not where you're at. So it was good. I tried making it double meaning like that. But what made me do it, I just always loved photography, and I went through like a period where I stopped doing it, and as soon as I got back into it, I was like, wow, this is something I really like, and I feel like people like it's good to have a hobby, at least for me. A hobby that's not something work related. It's not something like something that's creative that you can just push a different boundary of like yourself. And for me, that's photography. Like I try to just push a different boundary, like just to figure out who I am as a person. That's been a big focus to me this year. Just trying to get outside my comfort zone and push myself to be as well-rounded in the areas that I want to be as I can. But I thought it would be a cool spot to share like different places I've been, little bits about them, and just some artwork that I'm really proud of. So that's what made me do it. Yeah.
No, wait. So like when it comes to like pushing the boundaries and stuff like that, or pushing out of the frame, as they say.
Yeah. Yeah. No.
Like what is
like
what is it that you're specifically pushing yourself for? Like I know you said get yourself on like in uncomfortable situations. Like what you trying to get like be more like exploring, as in like going to unknown places? Like what does that entail? I don't know if I'm making it clear.
No, you're good. Like kind of like what we were talking about before, like just like pushing ourselves to be, I don't know how to explain it. Just knowing that like when we went to school, it was kind of just like learning what was put out in front of us, but like teaching myself to be a learner for myself and go into things that I'm passionate about, as opposed to like what's being told that I have to learn about. So like just finding different passions and chasing those down and just like pushing myself in ways I never did before. Like I really wasn't artistic growing up. I wasn't one to like color much. I wasn't one to consider art much. And as I got older, I was like, this is like an area that I find that is lacking, and I want to know why. Like, is it something I don't enjoy, or is it something that I didn't get a good experience from in school? So like I tried to appreciate art more, like painters and sculptors and those sort of things, visit museums, just like learn more, push myself towards learning more about art. And I liked history, but like again, what you learn in school is a small sample, and I know they have things they have to get through. They have to follow a curriculum and those sort of things, but there's so much out there, and especially with the technology we have today, that you can go learn it online, learn in museums, learn, just like follow threads of like what's interesting to me, and like just be able to just like dig into these passions that I didn't know I had yet. Like I'd really like to learn more about language. I had like a basic understanding of Portuguese, just being Portuguese, but I've spent the last year just digging deeper, and like traveling has helped big time. And more conversations with my grandparents who speak primarily Portuguese has gotten me a lot closer to them. And I wasn't able to build that connection before, because it's like you're like bogged down with things to do when you're growing up. Like you got your part-time job, you got high school or college, whatever it is, you got your friends, those sort of things, that now I've had more time to dig into these things and more of a will. Like I'm giving up things, because we all have time in the day that we have to do things, and I'm giving up some of the stuff I used to do, like social media I don't spend much time on anymore, and just like kind of filling that time with learning, trying to push myself into different directions and see what I like.
Reigniting that passion for learning that you had. And that's the thing that sucks about, like, I want to actually hear your opinion more about is like igniting that drive for young individuals to want to learn. Like it's fun. Like learning is fun. Like, really you said, when you find something that you're interested in, it's like, all right, like what can I learn from it? Let me dive in. They want to do that dive in, but it's like, what do you feel like the school system is it the funding? Is it just
like what's
the
lacking?
teaching? Yeah, like is it the passion like of the individual that is in the classroom, the teacher? Like is it like the government? Is it the endless focus on tests and not creativity, individual? I don't know. Like what is it? I don't know. So I don't have kids, so it's like I don't fucking pay attention to this.
No, me either. But now being a teacher, which I never thought I would be a teacher growing up, like now being on the other side of it, it's just like it's something that I've really gone down the rabbit hole of this year. But like going back to that, I've never in elementary school growing up, I cared. I loved reading. I loved teaching. I loved learning and those sort of things. As I got to middle school, I started to care less for whatever reason. I don't know if I just started to fall behind or it wasn't the cool thing to do anymore, but I definitely lost it in middle school. And then towards high school, I was into sports. Didn't play much sports in high school, and like kind of ruined my drive for the rest of high school. And I started working. And I was working like close to full time, if not full time, at Sunrise.
Sunrise, yo! Shout out to fucking Sunrise, man. Like,
I know,
dude. Well, let's talk about that after the podcast. But go ahead.
For sure, though. But basically, just started to care less about school at that time, because I was like, I'm getting money now.
Yeah.
Like, have my first job. Like
he had a stack in one hand and a stack in the other. He's like, "Yo, what's good?"
And it was the borrowed money that I was taking to the bank. It was mine.
Oh yeah, I forgot you go to the bank with the fucking Louis. Oh, dude.
Yeah. But anyway,
I remember I did that once. That shit was lit. I felt like a badass.
Yeah,
I'm
bro,
feel like a fucking
like $2,500. You're like,
yo, I'm a savage, bro. I'm pushing mad weight.
But basically, what it boils down to is I stopped caring much about school. And then I went to college and wasn't in college for something I really wanted to be in, and ended up finishing because it's too expensive to not finish.
Yeah. But, dude, that's another thing too, man. Dude,
if you want to get into the higher ed.
No, we can go after that. Yeah, go ahead. I want you to lose this idea, but we can talk about that after. I'll write it down.
Oh, I appreciate that. But I was going to say, where I think that like your K through 12 is lacking, I think a lot of it comes down to the way we're reaching kids and reaching passions. a lot of times it's like blanket stuff that you have to get through. And especially with me being at the elementary level, it's a lot of the foundational stuff, which is important. Don't get me wrong. But a lot of it, like, especially when we grew up where it's like, okay, you get your worksheet in front of you, you do the worksheet. You're sitting individually in your seat. Like, there was not really like group seating. You tell me if it was different for you, but for me, it wasn't like group seating. It wasn't like turn and collaborate with people around you. It was kind of like the teacher puts stuff up on the board. You write down what you need to write down, and you do your worksheet. Was that like you?
Yeah,
like
same. Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
All fucking individual desks next to each other. You bullshit. You're like, yo, fuck this shit. Like, next to your homies next to you. Yeah.
Right, but like not having any opportunity to talk to one another, like you start to like, at least for me, I would get in trouble for talking all the time.
No, yeah. You know how I am. You know, I was talking all the time at fucking Sunrise, bro. You think I do podcasting because I fucking talk, dude? They would look at me like, Elijah, what the fuck are you doing, man?
Yeah. But like I would get it on my report card all the time. Too talkative. And it's like, but you're not offering any time to talk.
Yeah.
It's like your 20-minute lunch and your recess, and that's it. And it's like, be quiet and suck up the information. Like, I just think it's unrealistic to expect, especially young kids, to just suck up information and move on. Like, learning should be done in the natural setting is what I feel like. And I feel like natural setting is conversation, it's collaboration, because those are all things you preach when you get out into the workforce. You should be able to communicate with one another. You should be able to hold conversations, hold meetings, and so on. But if you're not teaching that in school, like, you're just expecting those skills to just flip a switch when you become an adult. It's not how it works, you know? So that, and I think the emphasis on testing, where the school gets in trouble, the state comes down on you, the teachers get in trouble, everybody just needs to pass the tests at the end of the year. And I think that's to a detriment, because those skills aren't being learned in like a vacuum where it's like, okay, if the test question is presented this certain way, you know how to answer it. But if you were to ask somebody, for example, like, what do you think the theme is of this story that you're pulling? Like, for example, I've been watching The Wire. I don't know if you're hip to The Wire, but like my favorite show ever, and I've been rewatching it. It's so good, dude.
Why,
That's a whole different rabbit hole. It's like it takes place in Baltimore, and it takes place between so the cool thing I think about the Wire is I don't think there's a main character. It's kind of like the main character is like the system. And I think like you got one side, you got drug dealers just doing what they have to do to survive. You have the cops trying to catch them. And then you have like politics, schools, workers all wrapped up. And every season is like a different area where like you start to see the different like intersections of the city, like where it's like the mayor on one side, like the school system, the police force, the drug dealers, like they all kind of come together to shape Baltimore. But you're seeing that like there are no real like angels and demons. Like everybody's got like a good side to them, a bad side to them, and like everything kind of exists in like this gray area. And like you see like some of the struggles the schools go through, some of the shiesty stuff the politicians do to like play their game while the dealers are trying to play theirs. And like it's like how the police force gets shut down in certain areas because of funding, where they're really trying to like they're on the verge of catching like bad guys. Do you know what I mean? So, bro, I cannot recommend that enough.
All right, I'll watch that then.
I can't recommend that enough.
Because that's really what this life is about, though. It's really great. But I want to cut your idea.
I forgot what the point I was getting at. But in regards to school system, though, in that show, they talk about how like Baltimore was struggling with. It's fictionalized, but not really. Like it's very like realistic, but it's not like a true like one-to-one representation of like this person in this class. It's like based on like true events. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So like they'll be in a like there's a teacher and he's a math teacher and he's really trying to work with these kids, but these kids are like really, really difficult to work with, and he's trying his ass off for math. And then school, like December rolls around, they have to take their state tests, and the first test that comes is English, and they straight up told that math teacher he has to become an English teacher and teach directly off the test because they need them to pass the English scores, and then he can go back to math. And it's like those sort of things, like the kids aren't learning. There's just like you're drilling them test question after test question. Oh, I remember my point now. The point I was trying to make was I was watching that season, and I finished that season last night, and I was just pulling all these different threads of themes that were happening in the story. I'm just like, this character wants to save this character from his ways, but can't. And then it's the same thing's happening between this cop and this kid, and then this drug dealer and this other drug dealer. Like, it's people trying to save one another, and that's a literary skill where you're pulling out like themes from text. I mean, from what you're seeing. But the way that we have to teach it in school, it's like, okay, look for these signal words, look for ask yourself what's happening here. And then like after you drill it a bunch of times in kids, they'll learn it. But like if you try to apply that skill to somewhere else in your life where it's not, you're just reading a standardized test, like I worry that they don't carry these skills over. I don't know if that's a kid problem. I don't know if that's a education system problem. I don't know if that's a parent problem. And like the hard part is with schooling is there's so many like people involved. Like you have to have supportive parents. You have to have a kid that wants to learn. And you have to have teachers that are passionate, putting together stuff that pushes them academically. All those pieces have to come together to make a good education. Yeah. And if one area is lacking, that's all it takes.
No, I think it's all three. Yeah, I think it's reliable to all three because it's just sadly there are parents. Well, now a lot of parents have woken up, especially with the stuff that they like the transgender books and all these other stuff that they're putting on younger kids, like sex ed and education. Like a lot more, like parents are being more aware of what their child is learning, so they're actually going to school board meetings and like just seeing what they are learning, which is a good start. But like I feel like before, they would just. Because we believed in the system, we believed that the system was going to properly, educate us on certain things like how to balance a checkbook, how to finances, but that's something that as far as I know, I chose to take financial studies, in high school. It wasn't like a mandatory thing, and I believe that's definitely something that should be like if you're trying to make citizens of your country, well off, like why would you not teach them how to, like you said, the daily function when you go out to the workforce? Are you good communicating with others? Are you good at, strategizing, right? Even just writing properly on a paper, organized, or even just a good, like, communicate within a group, like, or even leadership, how do you know, if you have good leaders, if you don't put them in those group scenarios and see if they want to, push
it's not natural. Like it's easy to forget, at least for me, like, we're not, no one's born knowing how to do math, but if you ask anybody like our age, 2 + 2, they're going to get it like that.
It's 5, right?
Yeah, it is still 5 last time I checked.
Okay, good. I'm glad. Thank you.
But like when a thing I think is interesting too, like once you've learned how to read, you can't unread. So one thing I do a lot is just look at stuff and try to like there's no way you could read that wind chime and not know what it says. Like you can read that, and there is no unreading
unless
that.
Unless you're blind, yeah. Unless you're blind. But you can't undo knowing how to read, right? Yeah.
And like those are skills that like now it's automatic. So like an example I'll give you, because a lot of my kids are very unmotivated too, and that's another equation in the puzzle. There's so much at play here.
Why?
A lot of unmotivated, because it's just like I hate to blame social media for everything, but a lot of just social media. Like when they go home and they're on TikTok all the time, it's just like if they don't like it, they swipe away in a second. And their stuff is being read to them, so they don't have to read it, because usually someone's talking. And it's like all that stimulus at once, where it's like bright, colorful things, or like quick cuts in the video where someone's constantly just like cut. And it's just like words popping up, different colors, different speeds. So the point where it's like constant stimulation. So for a conversation like me to them, I can't tell you how many times they're just not engaged, because it's not, they're so used to like the dopamine hits of like every single millisecond something's happening that they don't get through things anymore. And like the biggest wake up call for me was my first year teaching. We let them pick a movie that they wanted to watch for the day before Christmas. Within 2 minutes, they were begging to go on computers. They were begging to stop the movie. Like and they voted for the movie.
Really?
This wasn't even a movie we picked. So like,
really?
Big difference between you and me. If that teacher said we were watching a movie or rolled out the TV, we were hyped. It didn't even matter what was
coming. Facts. I remember that shit. VHS.
Yes. So the fact that we have like 4K TV thing on wheels that we teach on, but it's 4K. Like this is no grainy VCR. Like, you know what I mean? And then we're using that, and we're having them pick a movie off Disney Plus, which is like instant gratification. You're not like the one VHS tape that they have to dust off to like stuff in there, bro. They have any movie they want off of Disney Plus. And it didn't matter. And that blew my mind, dude.
Well, yeah, we're just so used to just having a quick satisfaction. We're so used to being, getting anything we want to. Right. It's just that's the it's the curse of technology as well. And it's good that I think it's just like see, like they have so much money to spend on these 4K cameras and shit, but like how about like better
another thing you want to get into, bro?
What? Yeah, I'd love to. Like, was it better like better equipment for the kids to learn, like some way that like I don't know like like dumbass, obviously the tablets. Well, it's just like, come on, let's get off of technology and be like more individual, right? Like absorption. I don't know.
So that's like for me, I feel like I've gotten a better education than what's being offered at a lot of places nowadays, and it was less technology. And as I'm reading more about how other places do around the world, how they do their education, this is a big rabbit hole I've gone.
No, I love it. No, I love this. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry. This isn't the most interesting.
No, don't be
content,
sorry. I love. No, it is. No, I
Yeah.
think people want to hear this. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, but so I looked into what's called the PISA test. It's like program. I'm blanking the acronym right now. Program for something student achievement. Okay, and what that test measures is like a test that's different than most tests we've taken growing up. It's one test given to 15-year-olds where it applies what they're learning. So it's like they give you a real world scenario. It's still on paper and pencil, but it's a real world scenario that you have to figure out what is the best course of action.
Oh, okay.
Some multiple choice, some open response answers. And they look at the results across all the developed countries and see what it's reading, math, and science. And they see what countries are doing well, what countries are average, what countries aren't. Over the last 20 years that this has been given, USA has been pretty average across the board, except for reading a little higher, math a lot lower. But science is right there. Reading's just slightly above. Math's a lot lower. So math is an area we're struggling in. And then they look in, what are different schools doing inside their classroom? What is their structure like? What's their time that they spent doing each task? What's their, their recess, their lunch situation? Just all the factors that change from school to school, depending on what country you're in, right? And they found that the big technology that the U.S. loves to spend money on technology. So now all my students have Chromebooks. We have these giant 4K TVs to teach on, so on and so forth, but it doesn't really move the needle. And this technology is not really doing what we think it is. So I don't understand why why we're spending so much money on technology when in fact, it's not moving the needle.
When we can just, find a way to honestly teach better attitudes. And, because attitude, I believe, is definitely, give a reason for that teacher to want it to, give them a good attitude, I don't know, give them obviously, sentiments and stuff like that, because, it's a difficult job and stuff, but it's I think an attitude, find better ways to be more interactive with your one-on-one with your students, which is hard because I can imagine, the average, class is 20 to 30
You're right,
students.
20, 30.
Yeah, I can, it's pretty hard to be able to get that individual, but, I don't know, it's just... something that's less more disconnected from technology, because it's not it's already hard to get people's attention, and
Absolutely.
like you said, so it's me already growing up in my personally, I had everyone who doesn't have ADHD nowadays, but it's just me growing up, even it was hard for me to focus and stuff like that too, but it's just I don't know. It is
a lot of factors.
I can't say anything now because it's been almost a decade since I've been on the school system.
Yeah.
But there has to be a way to make it entertaining, and I don't think technology is it, because it's just another distraction. It's another Band-Aid to the actual problem, in my opinion.
Yeah, there's a lot of factors at play that makes us different than other places. It's a lot of parents here, they've noticed, are more like cheerleaders. They cheer on their kids. They show up to those meetings. They're at their games. They're like when you're here, that there's going to be some mom giving orange slices to the soccer team, and then they look good doing it, right? Mm-hmm. But in a lot of other countries, they're at home, disciplining their kid, not disciplining, you don't have to be physical, but you can have high expectations for your kid, teach them how to read, be with them alongside them to do their homework together. But at the end of the day, those parents place high expectations. They're more like coaches for their kids, as opposed to cheering them on. So when little Johnny brings home a C, here they're kind of good job. You know what I mean? But if little Johnny brings home a C in another country, they're more what can we do to be better? Do you need more tutoring? What are you not doing? And a lot of the time, the blame is put on teachers here, and in other countries, the blame's put on the student, because they're what? And it doesn't have to be assessing blame to somebody all the time, but it's if I find a lot of the times, and at least for me, I find a lot of the times when students aren't doing what they need to be, it's what are you not doing as a teacher? And if you're abroad or other places, it's more of what are you not doing in your class, talking to their student, talking to their kid, what are you not doing enough of? So just promoting the kid to be responsible, having parents that are engaged and want to see their kids do well. And a lot of the structure of teaching is different abroad than it is here. In places like China, teachers are regarded as the same level as a surgeon.
Really?
Societally, they place that teacher on a higher pedestal, and it makes it a more coveted place to want to work. And a lot of times here, it's not cared about much, and it makes it where teachers don't want to work, and they're paid a lot lower than teachers in other places. So salary wise, they're they're not they're not cared for as much. Status wise, they're not cared for as much. And a lot of the times here, you're teaching for longer hours and working more than a lot of other countries. Not all, because like places like the UK, I believe, teach longer than us. I'm not sure about Korea. I know their students there go to school for like 18 hours a day, which is just overkill in my opinion. I think
damn, 18 hours a day.
They go to school during the day and then they stay at school to clean the school.
Oh,
the
yeah.
kids do that.
Talk about discipline.
Yeah, exactly. And like if you act up, you're on bathroom duty. I also
oh damn! Imagine fucking Greg took a fat shit too earlier. He said it. He's like, oh, I feel bad for whoever's cleaning the fucking school today.
Right.
He's like,
and then they go,
son of a bitch. Have to use toothbrushes too.
Yeah, dude. Well, they wear red jerseys of like shame.
Yeah, right.
They
Wait,
do.
Really?
Dead ass. Yeah.
Red
So a book I read this year.
Same. Yeah.
Book I read this year is wicked interesting. It's called The Smartest Kids in the World and How They Got There.
Okay.
They take 3 American students. This reporter who is not even involved in education, she's seeing it from like the outside as a reporter. She goes along with 3 kids. They're all from America, in different parts of America. One's Michigan, one's Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, and one's from Sallisaw, Oklahoma, and it's like a very rural area where there's not much. It's like a Walmart, and that's it. But these people, the reporter goes with these kids. The kid from Oklahoma goes to Finland. That's where she really wanted to study. The kid from Pennsylvania goes to Poland, and the kid from Michigan goes to Korea. And they follow them to see what's different in these classrooms. A lot of them complain, and they also did international students coming to America.
Oh, okay.
So they swapped. Sorry.
No,
and they swapped, and they get like information from each one of those kids, like what was different, what was better, what was worse. A lot of the kids going abroad found their classes harder, which pushes them to be better. A lot of the kids from abroad coming here found them easier, and they found that teachers lead the kids to water, so to speak, too easily. You know what I mean?
Oh, so like a kid suck, they'll like do it for them.
Yeah, kind of pushing them to exactly where they need to be, where they just have to like come up with a thought, and they're like, yeah, you got it, you know?
Okay.
And it's not a lot of like
challenging.
Yeah, it's not challenging as much, and it's not as independent promoting. Like the kids they're like starting to rely on those supports as opposed to like wanting to figure it out for themselves. But yeah, just like very interesting to get altering perspectives of how different places do, because I find that same thing in traveling too. Like when I go abroad and I learn different things about how different people do that, I love that. I love being able to see how other people do, how they cook, how they celebrate, how they speak. And that's one thing, going back to like things we've delved into this year. Like I've loved learning about how other people carry themselves culturally. It's interesting to me.
It's just, I mean, it's just the Western society is so different. So it's a whole different world, and that's why I do appreciate the Eastern society though, because of that discipline again of like. It's just like obviously everyone in America wants their child to be educated, like great societal, like wish the best for them, but it's like not as stressed upon as in other societies out in the East, you know what I mean, where they're like, this is your legacy, like this is your you're carrying our last name, like don't.
It goes too far sometimes though.
True. Look at Japan where their suicide rates are high because there's such a discipline, like shit. I don't know, it's hard, it's a big gray area.
Yeah,
exactly. It's literally like The Wire.
That's the more the more I'm learning is the more things are in moderation. Everything's a spectrum. Like
but I think
you can go far one way, you can go far another way.
Yeah.
The truth exists along the middle somewhere.
Right. But at least like again, going back to even like it takes a village to raise a child. It's like that's the thing. With like it takes the school system, the teachers, the parents and the student. It's like, and as a parent, it's sorry, like your kid comes, I can't say shit. I don't have a kid, but it's like, your kid comes first, like you gotta make sure like every day, like when they come home from school, like, hey, what'd you learn today? Like actually really get, like get engaged. Yeah. Just be like, oh, so what did you like? Oh, what was fun? What made it fun today?
Yeah.
What did you like? Why was it bad? Why was it thing?
Those are great
like,
points. Yeah.
Yeah. It's just, and again, like going back to like, because kids want to learn, they want to think, they want to do these things, but it's like you just treat them like, like don't treat them like stupid, treat them just like, hey, like, you can even articulate with them like you would a regular adult, and then they'll start to process and learn and become better, like individually. And I think that's just something that, I don't know, I can't be a teacher, but you can definitely play my part. I think that's something that needs to be done, is just like you said, Rick, we as America, we just guide them to that one thought that they need to get the answer, but it's like, all right, like let them struggle, let them.
Exactly. That matters. that struggle time promotes independence. And it's like, what are you learning if you're just getting right? If somebody's pushing you to the edge and then you just get enough to get through the assignment or get through the test, what are you retaining into you for the long run? You know what I mean? And a lot of the times too, it's coming from higher ups too, that teachers want to do something a certain way and are told not to. It has to fit the mold. And sometimes I'm sitting there just like defeated because I feel like there's something I could do out of the box that I know if somebody saw me, and it would be frowned upon. You know what I mean? If I was doing something that I felt as though was out of the box, and just wanting that independence. And I find a lot of the times too, teachers a little bit micromanaged here. And a lot of the times just being dictated what to do in certain areas and being judged about those standardized testing scores, where from that book, I learned that they go abroad to Finland. Kids don't only take one standardized test in their whole school career, and they're optionally allowed to take that PISA exam that I talked about before. Yeah. So like having that one test, like it doesn't make or break you as a person, but it is something that provides like that accountability for you. Like, okay, you have this one test you need to be doing. And teachers give informal assessments all the time, but they're not held to, like me, for example, who has to give like 4 different monthly tests, and then they get their MCAS. Like we take that state exam. So like they're being tested like over and over and over again. That's not learning. Yeah. Like you can assess and see where kids need it. Like, but that's like a worksheet. Like if you give a kid a worksheet, or you sit in on like a collaborative moment with them, and you realize like, okay, when they were explaining something to their partner, they didn't explain it correctly. That's an area that I need to touch up with them. And then you make your instruction like according to that, but it does not need to be a standardized sit down computer test all the time to see what they can do. You can observe as a teacher, and I find that beneficial. But I think it's just a general trend in the world where everything's just data driven, and they just want data.
Yeah, it sucks though, because you know what I mean. It's just only hurting the individual that wants to learn. You know, like you said, that like you can jam all these test questions that they can memorize, like you know, in their head. But as soon as that test is done, that shit's probably out the fucking brain, out the door.
Right.
You know, that was me anyway growing up. Like I can't imagine now with, like you said, with you know, kids growing up like with technology and like so much entertainment, so much things to distract us quickly. Like, what information are you retaining? Like at that point, you just pass the test just to pass, and you're like, all right, like there's no benefit.
Or not even care about it at all. Some kids don't even care about the test.
Yeah, I didn't even take my SATs.
Yeah,
when I went through, because I didn't actually think I was going to college. I only went to beer can college. Fucking BCC. Yeah,
that's a great acronym, dude.
Yeah, to shout out the Dents one if he watches this. He told me that. I was like, yo, I always called it that. Yeah,
my dad calls it that too.
Really?
He went to beer can college.
That's funny. And that's the thing too. Another thing that sucks is like, you know, we be into their head like these not even applying knowledge and actually applying the knowledge they learn, you know, which is the most important thing. Knowledge is only powerful if applied, but like
absolutely, bro.
Like
nailed
then
it.
Then we're fucking hammering in of going back to our earlier conversation, higher education, which costs them a fucking arm and a leg now. Like you're having an 18-year-old, you know, still young child like at this point, like wanting to make such a big like financial risk.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm lucky that teaching worked out for me, because I made the wrong choice going into it. I went to school for marketing and I didn't like it, but by the time I figured out I didn't like it, I was in too deep. And I ended up finishing it and going back to the drawing board to learn how to teach. But the nice thing was I didn't have to get another 4-year degree. I'm now in a master's program, so I have like another year left of it. And but it was great that I didn't have to go back to the drawing board, because if I had decided to go, maybe I wanted to be a nurse or a doctor instead, I would have to start those 4 years again, and that money's all gone now. And they've let the price of college just get astronomically expensive. And what happens on the other end? Like, are they really guaranteeing that much better of an education than what was there before? If you look at the pricing of college, I don't have the numbers in front of me, but like pricing of college has gone up a lot higher pace than most of your goods, even like houses. So like, what's keeping that in check?
Yeah, it
can just be as expensive and as it can be. And then if the narrative is everybody has to go to college to get a good job and so on, then who can afford it at the end of the day? You start in such a hole, it just becomes more elitist than it already is.
And even then, like, you quote afford it, like when you get out of it, are you even gonna ever get out of that hole? You know, like that fucking student debt, like Because what, it even continues on to your family, right? Like if they don't pay it, like if you don't pay it
that
off.
I'm not sure, but I wouldn't be surprised if it did.
Because
Like,
you can't even claim bankruptcy. You still got to pay that shit even when you're, yes.
Yeah, I didn't even know
Dude,
that.
School debts are so fucking disgusting, bro. That's why I'm like, wow, we're so quick to throw these debts onto fucking our
18-year-olds.
Our youth. Yeah. And then it's like, dude, then they, some people get, sadly, like they pick bad fucking, majors like fucking gender studies, like, or some shit like that. I'm like, all right, like, what's that going to do for them outside of college? Now they're working a waitress job or work. You know what I mean? It's like not talking shit about waitress jobs. You know what I mean? Dude, you make good money at waitress, but it's just like, you know what I'm saying? Like you went to this higher education to better yourself, and you could have just been waitressing in the first place.
Yeah,
not putting yourself in that amount of debt. Like,
right.
Like even like you're saying, like you're paying this significant amount of money. Like even look at the past 3 years, like fucking. Or even the education you're learning, like when you send these parents that are sending their kids off, like look at Harvard into the Supreme, in the congressional court, basically agreeing that genocide to Jews was approved, like not hate speech, like what, like so like what, like now you have to question as a parent, like what am I, where am I sending my kid to, like what are they learning,
right?
What am I spending my $100,000 of my hard-earned money to? To brainwash my child to think disgusting things. You know what I'm saying? It's just like
you're not sure what the quality of education is.
Yeah.
And then like once you get out to the main field, like everybody's going to tell you whatever job you're doing, the majority of it you're going to learn on the job. Most jobs, the majority of it you're going to learn on the job. So when you're really getting like, this is like background knowledge kind of, and you're paying a lot of money for background knowledge that if you were thrown into the job, you're going to learn that very quickly. And it just kills me because I think there's a need for higher ed, but I don't think it needs to be expensive or as risky as it is now. And that scares me because I feel like if it was cheaper, more people would be apt to do it and more people could try things, mess up, and not be scared to mess up. And that's one thing I think is ingrained in education. That's an L, is just being scared to mess up. Like where you fail and make mistakes is where you learn. So if you're scared to...
Wow, dude,
thank you, studio
facts.
audience. Yeah. Where you're like where you learn is where you make mistakes, and if you can learn from your mistakes, that's what shapes you. But if you can't make a mistake, are you going to learn?
Yeah, facts. It's just like the idiot who asks the question is only an idiot for a second. The one who doesn't ask the question is an idiot forever.
That's a bar.
Yeah, that's a bar. Yo, dude, but it's so true though. Like I think that dude, you literally hit the nail on the head on that one. Like it's truly like, don't be afraid to fail. This life is fucking finite, bro. Like you know what I mean. You're not going to learn everything, bro. You're always, like that's another thing to understand too. Like seek knowledge because you're never going to learn everything, no matter how old you are. Like I don't like when I just like when I talk to older people and they think they just know everything. It's like, all right, dude, like you're not God. You're not this. Like you can still have like that ambition, that attitude to always have an open mind and be like, oh, I've never seen it in this perspective. I've never seen, I don't know. It's
because they've stopped. They don't have that drive for learning anymore, that they feel like they learned it all or something, that there's no more out to get. But a real learner knows that there's still more out there. It's impossible for us to know everything. And even things that come from experiences, we've never experienced everything. So like there's so much out there. Going down the technology track, like the rise of AI this year, I think that's one thing that's been really interesting to watch too. Because again, like technology, double-edged sword. Yeah. Because you can do so much productivity with it, but at the end of the day, like, is it for the betterment? Like, it now makes things like it makes you more easily to be tracked. All your data can be just like assembled to like a persona online, and you're like, this is where you exist in a file cabinet, and like it's turned like us as a species, like I think it's just advanced us so far so fast, and it's doing things that at least I can't comprehend. Like it's generating text like a human could, and it's just insane to watch.
It is fascinating to see like what's to come, and this is only just the beginning. Like now it's only going to amplify our technological gains by like 25-fold. Like when I can't even imagine. Actually, honestly, just think about it. Like a decade ago,
right?
Like VR wasn't even like it was a thing, but it wasn't like that big of a thing. Now you have literally virtual like things are looking fucking real. Like you can almost depict like, wow, like is this like you can almost not depict like, damn, is this reality or not?
You have to question it. And
like look at GTA 6.
Yeah, dude, it's
dude, that ass that was jiggling on that car, dude, that looked real. I was like, wait, what?
No, it's crazy, dude. And like this stuff's exponential. So as the more it learns, the more it gets fed information, the quicker it goes. And one article I read that was really interesting this year, it was called I believe it was by the Generalist, and it was about how AI has no burden of knowledge. And like basically what that comes down to is like people, we all start from like square one. We're learning everything, and like everything that we learn, and we learned what came before us and what came before them. So like thinking about how the world was and maybe our grandparents' day is a lot different than what it is now, right? Mm-hmm. So what they had to learn, they learned up until, I don't know, give or take 1940 or whatever they were born, right? They like everything that ever existed happened then and before, and they learned all of that plus what they learned along their life. Now you add your parents who like learned all of that stuff plus their life. Now you add us who learned everything I just mentioned plus our lives, right? So as the analogy they used was like a person digging into a cave. So like as we dig into that cave, you have to know everything up until the end of the cave wall, and then you start carving your path forward as like yourself. But AI doesn't have to do that. There is no like carving the tunnel. They have the tunnel already, and they're forging forward faster than we can even conceive, because they don't have to start by learning everything that came before them. They already know it
because it was programmed into them.
So crazy to think about that. There's no friction there. It literally is just like they can just blaze ahead, creating things and learning things. And Luke here.
Constantly very gear shit. That's Eli. But
okay. But yeah, like there's no burden of knowledge. They just know everything, and they can just blaze forward at an unfathomable pace.
Really?
I think it's just wild to think about.
It's gonna be iRobot.
Dude, it could be
in real life. It's you know, it's nervously exciting. You know, it's just because now that's the next thing. You know, the nuclear energy is still, you know, definitely something that all countries are fighting over. But like, you know, to achieve unlimited energy, like
it needs to happen.
But think about that's the other thing is like the AI though. Like, you know what I mean? Like that's the next thing. Like instead of nuclear, like, you know, bombs, like it's gonna be AI, because you know once you control AI, like to have its, you know, because it does whatever it's programmed to do until it somehow programs itself to.
Yeah, I don't
program
know
its own
conscience to know
or something.
It'll program its own conscious, but there've been studies. So like, do you know about the company OpenAI that made ChatGPT?
Yeah.
So the company that made them is called OpenAI, and they fired their board like CEO. Their chairperson / CEO was this guy Sam Altman.
Oh yeah, I heard about it. Then he came back, right?
He came back, right? Yeah. So what that whole thing was about was because they had an AI that was able to apply logic to like elementary math, which doesn't sound amazing. It might not sound amazing, but it's AI couldn't do that before. Like if you told it 2 + 2 was 4, it would know. You know what I mean? Like, okay, now I know 2 + 2 is 4, but it started to come to those conclusions on its own. So it was
so it gave it an equation. They gave it an equation. It wasn't programmed to know, and it solved it itself.
So it just, they called it. It was like it had sentence as it related to like logicking through elementary math. So people were like, half of the board was like, yo, this is going too far, too fast. We got to rein it in. The other half was like, nah, let's go for the big bucks. So it created a divide at the company. I don't know what's happened since, but like this stuff is happening. And this is just what we know about. Like stuff is happening so fast. But then
what if it's even more than what they say elementary school, and they're like, nah, this motherfucker was fucking Harvard knowledge.
Exactly.
Like,
what if, right? So that's a scary side of it. But on the other side of it, like if this AI was able to be programmed into robotics, like you see, I don't know if you've ever seen Boston Dynamics. Do you know that robot company?
Oh yes, dude. I seen the robot that was doing like construction work, like jumping on platform. I'm like, yo, what?
That's insane. To go get a wrench and go like turn a nut. Yeah, it's insane. But that could also be freeing for people like us. So it gets people out of like regular, just like day-to-day laboring jobs.
Oh, yeah, like blue collar work.
Exactly. That we could start pushing the boundary of like the human race.
So it's actually pretty crazy, because I have witnessed that myself in my job, because I'm a rewind. Like I worked in rewind, where it's like you put like copper wiring inside like you know, electric motors and stuff like that. And there's ones you can tell that like are robotically like wounded,
really,
and not hand wounded. Yeah, but
what was that like,
dude? It's just more, you know, just rigid, like stern, like, you know, it was more blocky, more straight edges and stuff. The way they wound it and stuff like that, because it's just like I think it was a 2-pole, so it's just like just straight. It's just easy shit, but because it's simple. It's not. It can't do anything more complex than that simple thing. But it's like, damn, it's a start though, and it's like like you said, dude, I don't know, man, because I feel like it's going to be definitely a big challenge for a lot of people mentally because, you know, we need to do things, you know, when work is, you know, it keeps a lot of people saying they don't realize it, but it does, you know, it's giving them routine. It's giving them like purpose in a sense of, you know, well, I wouldn't like it is a purpose in in the minimal sense. Obviously, you can find your bigger purpose, but like for now, like, you know, I mean, just to go, you know what I mean? But it helps a lot of people and they don't realize it. But
yeah, no, I agree with you.
It's going to be a big change in humanity when that happens.
And you can't sit around. Like, I know everybody would be like, oh, maybe not everybody, but a lot of people would be like, okay, let's quit our job and just do whatever I want, whatever the case is. But like, you can't sit around all day every day without having something to do. So you have to have something. I think my thing is if automation was able to free us from like, for example, like someone stacking stuff on a grocery like aisle. I've done that, and I was like, wow, this is the most repetitive, boring shit ever. Like, I could be doing more than this. And again, not to take away from anybody else who's doing that, because that might be what people like. So it's kind of like again a gray area. But like, what if we had that like cheaper college option, or what if we had more of a push to like finding what makes us tick, or what we could do as humans, and we could somehow push the boundaries of humanity because we're not like spending so much of our time on jobs that could be automated. Does that make sense?
No, exactly. Yeah. You know what I mean? Instead of wasting your, 5 hours just organizing stuff where you can just be a robot, like you can put that 5 hours toward. But the thing is, like, does that person have to drive to push for knowledge to learn other things, like to be a bigger impact to society, or are they going to just, I don't know, just sit back.
Yeah, I'm thinking like, what if humans had more time to devote towards like human shit, for lack of
just
better term.
Just like public service kind of things.
Maybe, but like more like human like stuff that only a human can do. Like right now, a human made AI, for example.
Yep.
Like that is the result of humans working together with other humans to make something bigger than themselves. What else could come after that if more humans had more time to do human stuff? What is the art that could come out of it? Because like art isn't really a robotic thing. What art could come out of it? What ideas, what philosophies, what language, like anything, if humans had more time to just push the boundaries of humanity.
I guess at that point it was to, I don't know, maybe the ignorance of wanting to live forever at that point, because we have robots working beside us who would try to maybe, I guess, try to expand our lifespan, extend our lifespan. Could be maybe even traveling more outside the galaxy.
Could be, right?
You know what I mean? Like, so we have a bigger society of people going into sciences and stuff at that point, right?
Yeah,
and mathematics.
Just getting out the barriers of somebody who wants to go out and do like whatever it is they want to do, just removing as many barriers to that as possible, I think would be beneficial for everybody. But I don't know how we got here, but I think that would just be sick.
I love it where we went there. But actually, fam, we have reached our time.
Yeah.
But dude, I know it goes. Dude, I can keep going forever, dude. That was a good conversation. I was like, holy shit,
dude.
But Chris, thank you so much, man. I appreciate you so much for giving your time and just telling a little bit about yourself. I know there's a lot more we could keep going on, but
thank you for giving me the space and sitting down, dude. This was sick.
No, hell yeah.
I can't believe time just flied like that.
No, before we sign off though, the floor is yours. Feel free, show the people how they can support you, your photographer journeys or any other journeys you're going through, or even just like, that. And also if you want to drop a little just knowledge or anything at the end, you're more than welcome. The floor is yours.
On the spot here. What I do
on the spot.
Yeah, on the spot here. Well, I do photography.
If you want to look at the camera too, you can, you know what I mean? So you got that.
So I do photography at FindAway Photo on Instagram and Twitter. If you want to check out my art, I would love feedback on it. I just hope that everybody watching just can try to be the best person that they can be and just be nice to everybody around each other. And that's what does it for me. Just people being people and doing the right thing. But yeah, it was a pleasure, dude.
Nah, thank you, man. It was my pleasure having you on, man. Seriously, it was awesome. And guys, as always, thank you for listening to the podcast. Please share this with your grandma, your grandpa, your uncle, your aunts, your nephews, your niece, anybody, your great-great-grandfather who passed away, anybody. Just support my brother, support brother Al. But most importantly, as always, I hope you guys are doing the best you can for yourself. Oh shit, yourself and the people around you, because you know why. You deserve it. Have a great one and peace. Oh yeah, also, thank you too, man.
No, dude.
This is episode 100.
Nuh-uh.
Episode 100.
I made it to the triple digits.
Yes,
bro.
Yes.
Wow.
You are the first one to be in the triple digits, good sir, and I am honored and thank you, man, because this is the start of a journey for myself too.
Bro,
so thank you.
I'm so happy that you're doing it, dude. Just keep going after it.
Dude, thank you. Dude, I'm happy to see you. Oh, dude, I wish. Oh, dude, I was gonna say if we get the portrait,
Yeah.
I'm gonna because it's gonna be a couple weeks before I make this release the episode, so I'll edit it and post it on the video so people can see your work and stuff.
Yeah, thank you.
Your photos.
Yeah, if you when we go get it and bring it back.
Yeah, no, or even you know what I mean, like I'll take a photo when it's like hung up too and stuff like that, and just like promote. You know what I mean? I'll put it on the podcast YouTube so people can see it. But nah, thank you, man. It was awesome. All right, everyone, have a good one. Peace.